Okay, meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. Let me tell y'all something. Facebook didn't want y'all to get this here message on today, okay? Because if y'all just really knew what goes on behind these scenes, I think y'all have a little bit more appreciation for the peoples when they comes before you. Because, baby, we was having a hard time. But we here. So, hello, beautiful people. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I am Gwendolyn, your amazing host, CEO and founder of your virtual admin expert, and welcome to Leading Behind the Scene, your weekly dose of inspiration to equip you to excel in business and life. This month, I want to continue to introduce you to people that I think you should know. Today, I am chatting with Jacqueline Barnes, who is affectionately known as Coach Jacqui. She is a life and leadership coach who believes that everything that has been created was created to fulfill a need, a service, or a specific purpose. She believes that the potential is therefore already built into the creation of a thing and fully known by its creator. That is so powerful. Coach Jacqui is a certified life coach, a certified leadership coach who is part of the John Maxwell coaching team. And if you don't know who John Maxwell is, then I highly suggest you pull up Rabbi Google right now and search. She has previously worked as a project manager for a national telecommunications company for 28 years, and she is a domestic abuse survivor. So with that said, I think we can trust her knowledge on life and leadership. So, Coach Jacqui, you and I met through birth.
That's what they told me.
So yeah, the part I forgot to mention in her bio is that she is also my mommy. So we have known each other all my life because, she had a life before I came along, but we've known each other for all my life. And she was my first paying client. So let me say that again for all them family members and friends looking for hookups in the back row from their solopreneur and business friends. She was my first paying client. So, Coach Jacqui, thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure.
I am super excited for you to share your life story today and to share about these abundance life principles that you talk about so much. So, why don't you share with us a little bit about what you do, who you serve, why you do it? Like, what's your story?
What's my story?
What's your story?
Thank you so much for having me on. My story. We'll go back a little bit, not too far, but we'll go back a little bit. Just a young woman looking for love in all the wrong places. And I don't even know where that came from, but just out there lost, right? Um, Turned my life around when I found Christ, or he found me, whichever way you want to put it, and began to change my life. I had Gwendolyn when I was 17 years old. So a young mother, didn't know anything, but I had family members to help me out. I did finish high school, and then did a lot of working and classes and things like that. But I ended up in an abusive marriage for 7 years. Don't even know how I got there either. You look back over your life and you trying to figure out how in the world did I get here. But was in that for 7 years. Even we were both in ministry, and all of this was going on behind the scenes. You try to tell people, but nobody was really hearing it. And maybe I wasn't clear enough. I don't know. But anyway, it wasn't until I decided that I deserved better. I was cute, I was smart. I'm cute, right, y'all? I was cute, I was smart. I was starting to excel in corporate America. Outside of the house, I'm this brilliant, beautiful, educated woman, but at home, I didn't know anything. I couldn't never could say the right thing. I didn't dress right. I didn't eat right. Nothing I did was right. And it wasn't until I came to myself to determine that, you know what, I deserved better, that my earthly dad didn't want me to be mistreated. So why would I think that my heavenly father would want me to? And so I finally confided in a friend and a mentor at the time. She was also a pastor. And she basically told me I didn't have to take that stuff no more. And that ain't even the words that she used. But she told me I didn't have to take that S hit no more. And so that kind of snapped me out of it, like I had been under a spell of witchcraft or something. And when she said that I didn't have to take that anymore, that kind of woke me up. And so I was no longer afraid. I was still under that oppression, but I was no longer afraid. And I remember the day exact. Well, it was a week before. I just had an impression that I needed to leave, and I even called my mom and asked her, could I come home? And she said, yeah. And then my husband came home, and I stayed, which I shouldn't have. We prayed about it. Should have left. I didn't. And then that following Sunday, everything jumped off, and we were in a small apartment, small bathroom, and it started. You never knew what would jump it off, right? So it started, and he started pointing his finger in my face. And for the first time in 7 years, instead of cowering back, I moved his hand and said, get your hand out my face. And so this sent him into a rage because I had never, stood up to him before. And so it started. He kicked me, he stomped me, he beat me. I'm on the floor, y'all, but this is the first time I ever fought back. And I had this thought in my mind, and I wouldn't recommend this for anybody else. I had this thought in my mind that, you know what, he may kill me today, but today he's going to know he's been in a fight. And so I fought back. And as I sat in that floor bleeding, he stood over me and he said, I hate you and I hate myself. And I'm telling you, the scripture came to me that love your wife as you love yourself. And so when he said that, I'm like, well, he could never love me because he just told me that he hated himself and he hated me. So I knew he could never love me. And so he got his clothes and he left. And I just took a deep breath, like, I got my life back. And that is such a wonderful feeling. I knew that I had my life back. And so just stemming from that, I made up my mind that I would speak into the lives of women wherever I could to let them know that they were okay. Don't ever give anyone that much power over your life and to take your life back. And we have so much power, and we yield it to others who are unworthy of it. And so that's what happened. That's what turned me around. And so I just want to just start speaking into the lives of others. I start sharing how I wanted to bring women together and start sharing that with some of my friends. And one of my friends, Val Williams, been a friend for years. She said, well, have you ever thought of speaking to young girls? Because when you taught Sunday school, those girls loved you. And so that was like an aha moment. And so I thought about it. And then I talked to my cousin, who's like my sister, Carlotta, and I told her what I wanted to do. And she told me, just start, just start in your basement. You start, and I will bring you girls. And that's what we did. And that's when we started Seed of Hope Foundation, where we mentor teen girls in leadership development and life skills. And our first lesson to them is that you are okay. And I enlisted Gwendolyn to be the executive director. I had no second thought. She was the first person in my mind because she had come through trauma just as I did. And so she would be able to speak into their lives. But most importantly, I needed them administration skills, y'all. And so she really took the organization and was a catalyst to really get us going and out in the community and where we are today. And so I'm still doing the same thing. We're just doing it with women. And again, adult women, we find when we even take our program, she's that little girl that's still in middle school if she hasn't dealt with the hurt and the pain. So she's still that little girl. So all of the principles still work. So to just accept who you are, believing that God has a purpose and a plan for your life before you even showed up on the planet, and to begin to tap into that in your power and start creating the life that you want. So hope I didn't go too long, but that's basically it.
No, that was some good stuff. And I think about that because I hear you talk a lot about courage and persistence a lot. So now I can kind of see a little bit where that stems from. But why do you think that is so important for just women or people in life, period, but especially for like the solo business owner? Like, why is that so important?
Ultimately, we are the leaders in our own life. And to me, that's where leadership starts. It starts with self leadership. I don't think you can really lead anyone effectively until you're leading yourself, you're growing yourself,
That's good.
developing yourself personally, emotionally, spiritually, every aspect of your life. Do we have all areas perfect? Hecky no. But
No,
I
no,
think emotional intelligence is so important. And that's, I always talk about, you hear me talk about managing your state. And
yes.
that is managing your emotions, being aware of what you're feeling at every point, and being able to pinpoint where you are and respond accordingly instead of reacting. So for solopreneurs, you got to be emotionally stable.
Oh, Jesus. That's
If
so much.
not, you're going to be all over the place. And we know that in this entrepreneurial journey, it can look barren, it can be barren, it can be silent, it can look like nothing's happening. But as you grow yourself and as you become more aware, you have to know and believe that if you're putting in the work and you're being integral about your intention, then there's something happening in the nothing,
Oh,
right?
that's good. That's a
You gotta
tweet.
know that
Somebody
and,
need to
and
meme
trust
that
that.
real quick. That's good.
You gotta know that and trust it. So you have to just keep growing and learning and collaborating, and always have a beginner's mindset
Mm,
that you
okay.
can always learn something from somebody else. And you need a mentor, you need a coach. You cannot, I don't think you can do it without it.
Yeah, I would 100% hands down agree. And especially with that whole managing your state, which is something I have to be intentional about on a daily basis. Cause your girl's nerves could get worked. And that's not just saying just even in the business. We I think have to be conscious about just life happening around us as well, right? Because we're business owners, but we're also probably mothers and wives and sisters and friends and aunts and whatever else we may have going on in life. And so sometimes it may not even be something within the business that has you in a certain particular mode. It could be something with your family or whatever. You still have to learn how to manage that, right? Because you still got to show up. You still got to show up for your clients. You still got to show up for yourself. You still got to show up for the people that you're serving. And so being able to manage that is so critical. And that's not to say you won't have some bad days,
Oh,
because a
absolutely.
sister have bad days. You just got to have your people that you can have those bad days with. I think that's the difference. So tell me a little bit about these abundance life principles that you talk about all the time.
Okay, I think there's certain guiding principles that we have to have for our life. And so the series that we have, it deals with understanding is the first pillar, because you have to gain understanding of certain laws and principles before you can tap into them and begin to allow them to operate in your life. Because again, as one of my mentors, Paul Martinelli, says, you can't make anything happen, but you can make it welcome.
Mm,
So through growing
that's good.
yourself and awareness and understanding, when you start to learn how the laws and the principles work, then you can tap into them to assist in it happening in your life. And so understanding is huge. And then we always deal with purpose, vision, and goals. If you don't have a clear purpose, then you're just out here and you're just all over the place. If you don't know why you are on this planet, and you have to know that there is a purpose for you, because there is nothing that's created on this earth that doesn't, that the idea in the manufacturer's mind, he knew the purpose of it, the capacity of it, the potential of it, what it could do, what it can't do. Look, don't, you can plug this in the wall, but then don't put that in the water, right? There are instructions and guidelines of the capacity of that particular product. And so for me, this may not be for somebody else, but for me, I choose to believe that a loving God who created me had a purpose and a plan for me before I even showed up on the planet. So I have to be certain about that. And then it's my job to tap into that, to walk in that, whatever that calling and that purpose is. And then your vision comes out of your purpose, right? So now you can start creating that clear, detailed mental picture of what that is, what that looks like. And that changes and expands as you
Yeah.
grow, as you gain more courage, as you gain more understanding. Then you get more confidence to move out on, you can see bigger, clearer, when you begin to grow. And then your goals, that's the last part of it. Nothing is complete until you take action, right? We do a lot of talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, right?
Yeah.
But Dr. Murdoch says that the proof of desire is pursuit. And so if I say that I want something, then I should have some proof, that that's what I'm going after. So those are four main, and persistence, courage. It takes courage to stay in business.
Lord have
It
mercy.
might take a decision to go into business for yourself, but it takes some courage.
Yes, Lord. Some
Stay in
courage
business to
and some
stay the
persistence.
course.
Because there will be days where you will question, why did I decide to do this again?
You
Like,
gotta have a
what was
big
I
why.
thinking when I
Gotta have
did
a
this?
big why.
Yeah, like, which is, I think, important, why you have to go back to the beginning. Like you said, you have to know yourself and you have to value yourself, because the things that you're going to go through in this space, you got to know why you got into this, and you got to be clear on who you are. Because if you're not, you're going to be trying to follow this person, trying to follow that person, and then trying to become like this person, because you're not being authentically you. You're not clear on who you are, and you're not clear on what your purpose is and why you're doing what you're doing. It is the thing that is going to carry you through. I promise you. Been there, had those days, probably gonna have some more in the future, but I'm clear on who I am and what my purpose is. And so that makes it a little bit more easier to bear. So, what would you want to say to the people before we get ready to sign off?
I think what you just said about courage, it takes courage to be yourself. It really does. It takes courage to, I always tell people to own your voice,
Mm,
right? And your value. And that takes courage, especially in it. There's so many voices. There's so much noise out in the world. And like Gwen says, there's so many, everybody wants to teach you something, train you something, market something to you. And even in your own business, you have to know, okay, this is who I am. This is what I have to offer. And I have to know that it is going to add value to somebody else's life. And I just have to own that I have a space. This is an abundant universe, and there is room for all of us. You know, this ain't gonna be, if you give more than me, then it's not gonna be enough for me. You cannot have that lack mentality. You have to know that this is an abundant universe. We serve an abundant God. There is room for me, there is room for you, and my voice is for somebody. Now, I'm not called to everybody, but I'm called to somebody.
Yes.
And I just have to believe, God, that those who I'm called to and those who are called to me, that I need to, I love what Pedro Adele said, I need to wrestle for the words, for what's going to reach them and resonate with them, that they would want to come and partake of the value that I have to add for them.
That's good. Oh my gosh, there were so many nuggets dropped tonight. I would love to hear your thoughts. So, Coach Jacqui, again, thank you for joining us tonight. Beautiful people, if you enjoyed this, which I know you did because I enjoyed it so much, I always have a great time when my mommy is on the line, which is why I talk to her all the time. But anywho, if you enjoyed this, I love it if you could hit the like button, share it with somebody, anybody else that you think might enjoy it too, and be sure to leave a comment. Tell us what your favorite takeaway was. If you have any questions, any tips, any life experiences you would like to share, be sure to share those in the comments as well, and I'll do my best to answer all of them. If you have questions for Coach Jacqui, you can feel free to drop those as well, or you can feel free to join her private Facebook group, Leading in Life with Coach Jacqui on Facebook. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Your Admin Expert, and subscribe to the email list on yourvirtualadminexpert.com for even more tips, tools, strategies, and life things. Be sure to follow Coach Jacqui on Instagram and Facebook at Jacqui Life Coach, and it's spelled JACQUI Life Coach. And be sure to visit her website at coachjacqui.com and book your complimentary heart to heart session, especially if you know you need to get your life together. I will see you again next week for another session of Leading Behind the Scenes.